how you were shooting.
Correct. Now, that would be, and see, I'm actually holding it upside down there. That would have to be turned 180 degrees towards my torso there. In other words, damn it, I'm trying to get in the camera here. As I'm holding it like this, firing that thing right now, it would have to be flipped over and up and turned. One of those pictures that I sent you, didn't it have a shot of me in the helicopter, yellow helmet, shooting that thing? Did I send you that?
Yes, sir. Let me.
It's probably on the website there somewhere, but where, I don't know. It's in there. But yeah, that was on the pier. On that shot there, it's just so the ammo is feeding up from the bottom. Same with this one here. That's a different day. But here I had, you see my little finger down there on the gun. I had just let off, and that one shell that's up there was the last shell that had just fired. And but the other one in the flight suit, you'll see that string of shells and clips just steady out of the gun, but you don't see my little finger because I've still got the trigger held down on it.
And I am looking to find, I had several of those photos. I guess I've got a whole slew of photos about that. I'll pull up in just a second. They were talking about the 60s.
Oh, yeah. Jason was asking how many 60 barrels you usually carry on a helicopter with you. Depending on whether it's the lead bird or the trail bird. The lead bird, when I got there, the lead bird always had the 50 cal on the right side behind the pilot and the free gun 60 on the left side. The trail bird had two free gun 60s. The 60 on the lead bird on the back of the co-pilot seat, and some of the pictures you may be able to see it, we had a little rack that had a hook on it, came down, and along the bottom it had 6 pieces of pipe a couple inches long welded to a piece of flat bar. So you had these little pieces of pipe sitting on this bar. A 60 barrel would fit right down in there. We had 6 of those. So you carried 6 barrels on the back of the co-pilot seat for that free gun 60. In the trail bird, they had the same thing. They had a rack on the back of each pilot seat because they didn't have the 50. They just had 2 free gun 60s, one on each side. And that way each gunner had 6 barrels. There have been times, not many, thank goodness, but
there's some on the back of his
seat. Yeah, there's 2 on the back of that one. But it kind of shows what it is. And this gunner's survival gun, it was that M16 sitting there on the right. And I believe that was an early A model 16 from the looks of that flash suppressor, if there's no ring around their front port. Mm-hmm. The first ones came out, just had those 3 prongs on it. And the guys in the jungle going through there and the shit would jam up on the end of it, weeds and vines and limbs and crap. So finally, the brass, we put a ring around the end of it, and that way the vines and grapevines and shit won't get caught in it. But anyway, the early A models had to open, and then later changed. Let's see, what else was the question here? The old MPC ration worked pretty good to help feed the M60. If you were holding the M60 in the standard position with the pistol grip down, so you held it like a regular rifle. On the left side where the ammo fed in there had those clips and stuff on it for other things, but the ammo, the C rations can clipped right in there, and it did allow the ammo to bypass those little clips on the side of the M60s because the clips were now filled up with that C ration can. So the ammo fed right over the top of that can, whereas with the SEAWOLFs, look at the top cover of the M60. It's smooth. When you take that thing in a standard orientation and turn it 90 degrees to the left so that your trigger housing now is, instead of straight down, it's pointing out to the west, 90 degrees to the left. And now the ammo coming up over the top of that ammo of the feed or the tray, it's all smooth right there. You don't need anything to assist the ammo to go in there. A lot of people ask about the 60s. Did we mess with them, modify them? There wasn't nothing we didn't mess with. The first thing you had to do on the 60, because you were hanging outside the helicopter with that long belt, you put 2 speed springs in the tray. Otherwise, one speed spring wouldn't always pull it. And the feed spring in the tray, you put 2 of them in there. That way it helped when it feed the ammo in, it helped pull it in addition to the tracks and the off-rod and all that other stuff. When I got there, we had mechanical buffers in the back of the 60s. In other words, it just had springs in it. Later, that was changed to, I'll tell you about this little setup in just a second. Later, it was changed to hydraulics so that there are no mechanical springs. But the mechanical buffers would take those apart and either put a dime or another little section of spring down in it to stiffen it up, and it would make it recoil faster, so it would fire faster. You could gain 50, 75 rounds a minute doing that. The hydraulics came out later, but that was different. On this picture you're showing right there, this gun is mounted to a pylon. So this would have been mid-70 or right around in there. That's when they, everything, no free guns had to go to a pylon mounted gun. You'll notice the foregrip is still in there, even though it's mounted on a pylon. The reason I'm saying it's 70s like that is because this was still a free gun door gunner. He knew how to free gun. And what he did, yes, sir, that's on the pylon. See that screwdriver sticking in there? Well, that just vibrated out. Sir, I'm holding this thing in my lap. I'll just shoot it like this. And you're back to a free gun. So you could cover a whole lot more stuff. But now this transitioned out when the old gunners finished up their tour duty and they rotated out. None of the new guys knew how to free gun. We weren't teaching that anymore. So this little thing here went away. Then they started mounting 2 at a time, side by side, vertical, horizontal, it didn't matter. They tried all kinds of stuff. And then they, I guess there towards the end, there was a couple of places that were putting a door-mounted minigun on the left side with a 50 on the right side. Yeah, this is, that gun's mounted on the right side. You can tell by the rotor head and stuff, the engine and all that mess up there, the breather. But anyway, that is one of the guns. That is, I don't know who that individual is there. Oh, I tell you what, that's Det 2. That's the judge is the gun. Look to the left, lower left corner of that. Of course, with that minigun spitting out that much brass and tail rotor was a problem. Down a little bit lower, that's the corner of the door. Bring your mouse down to that next corner. Right there, that's the corner of the screen to the left. That dark frame right there is a metal, and that is door screen, like a window, screen door, to keep the brass out of the tail rotor. If we had only had access to some 4-inch wastewater tubing like they use nowadays, and we could just run a long elephant nose down there under the, and dump the brass out that way. But back then, we didn't know. So we made this screen. Trashy, ain't it? But it works.
I was about to say that's ingenious.